This conference will now be recorded.
So we were discussing about Azure Recovery Services Vault, which is a backup solution, and we have enabled files and folder level backup as well using a tool called Mars Agent, Microsoft Azure Recovery Services Agent. So we have enabled a backup as well using a backup scheduler within that Mars Agent. So let's see whether the backup has been completed or not as per our schedule, and if it is completed, so can we see that in Azure portal? So all these things will be discussed in today's session. So I have to launch Mars agent. So here it is. Even if you close this, still your backup will work in the backend because you have scheduled it at every day at 11:30 p.m. So it's going to capture backup as per the schedule. Now here you can see. So the first backup was done on yesterday, which is like 2103, which is a manual backup. By using this backup now you can enable. So then we have left it like that for whole day. I mean, I kept my system on, and then backup has been completed. You can see the time as well here. So last backup, it was successful. Sorry, what is this? 107. Maybe it is showing something different time, which is fine. So last backup was successful, and you can see the timestamp here. It is showing is different. Maybe it has captured UTC time zone. It seems. I don't know which time zone it has picked up. So, but backup is successful. Okay. So if you can see this available recovery points, we have got 2, which means you can restore your backup 2 times. It means the latest backup, which is on 26th, or the very old copy here we have is 25th July. If this keeps on increasing based on the retention policy we have defined, you are going to see those many copies. So at this stage for us, we have defined 7 copies, right? So within that 7 copies, you will be keep on seeing that day-to-day activities whenever you're done with this backup, right? So now we are done with the backup. How to restore or recover? Let's say నీ దగ్గర ఆన్ ప్రెమిస్ లో ఉన్న డేటా పోయింది, లేదు ఈ ల్యాప్టాప్ లో ఉన్న డేటా పోయింది. సో నౌ యూ కెన్ రిస్టోర్ ఇట్ బై యూజింగ్ దిస్ బ్యాకప్. ఆ స్పెసిఫిక్ డేట్ వరకు ఏదైతే డేటా ఉంటుందో ఆ డేటా పాయింట్ వరకు నువ్వు రిస్టోర్ చేసుకోవచ్చు అనమాట. Okay, so I'll be considering that recovery point using this recovered data. So click on this recovered data, and before we go through this, let me come back to portal. Whatever we have done in the system, in my laptop or in your laptop, everything will be recorded in a recovery services vault, because this recovery services vault is the one that we are using by registering using recovery services vault credentials. Okay, so using the vault credentials we have registered, so all the data, like how many backups are completed, how many recovery points are completed, how many what is the retention policy, everything can be seen in Azure portal. So where do we see that? From this recovery services vault, scroll down, and here you have got monitoring, and then you have got backup jobs. Click on that. You will see that there are 2 backups as part of our lab which has been completed. Okay, so this is my laptop name, and if there are hundreds of devices, you need to be very careful when you are monitoring any of the specific servers. So if you want to see the host name, sorry, I am opening here system name. So this is the system name that I have got, desktop B36CF S2, and you can see the same thing here. Okay, so 2 backups తీసుకున్నట్టు మనకు కనిపిస్తుంది అనమాట. If you want to still see the details of this backup, click on this, and here it is, desktop and the timestamp. See here, this has picked up some random time. Backup size is 2 MB only, because the files which we have selected for backup is very small for lab. So you can see all that jobs here. And if you come back to policies, here you can see backup policies. At the moment, all the policies whatever you are seeing in this console are VM level policies. When you deploy virtual machine backup, then this will be useful. For now, you can see only backup jobs for your on-premises backup solution. And then if you want to modify any of this backup, you have to go for this schedule backup again. So in case if you want to change a policy, you have to come back to the schedule backup, and here you can go for next. If you don't want to change the items, you can go for next, next, and here you have an option to change and the retention policy as well. How many days that you want to retain the backup. So 7 days తర్వాత ఆటోమేటిక్ గా వెరీ ఫస్ట్ డే బ్యాకప్ తీసుకున్నది డిలీట్ అయిపోతుంది అనమాట. అండ్ దెన్ you will have 7 days. Again, 8th day, your very old backup will be deleted. So in that case, you will have only seven backups or 7 recovery points at any point of time if you keep 7 days as a retention backup period. Okay, so now I'm canceling this one. So we have got 2 backups now. Let's assume that I have accidentally deleted the data in my system. So whatever the backup that I have taken, only those files have been deleted, and I want to restore that data again back to my system. In that case, I have an option to choose recover data. Okay, if you look at this, you can see recover data feature. And where do you want to restore the data? Do you want to restore on this server, or do you want to restore it on any other system, any other device, any other laptop, whatever it is? So if you want to if you want to restore into another server, you have to register that server also here into this backup vault using vault credentials. Okay, so for now, let's focus only on this machine itself. Click on next. And what are you trying to recover? We are doing individual files and folders. అట్లా లేదు, నీ దగ్గర ఒక పెద్ద డిస్క్ ఉంది, లేకపోతే ఒక పెద్ద ఫోల్డర్ ఉంది, అందులో అన్ని ఫైల్స్ అండ్ ఫోల్డర్స్ రిస్టోర్ చేయాలంటే యూ కెన్ చూస్ దిస్ ఆప్షన్. అంటే ఒక వాల్యూమ్ అంటే ఒక పార్టిషన్, ఒక డ్రైవ్ లాగా నీ సిస్టమ్ లో కనిపిస్తుంది, అండ్ యూ కెన్ యూస్ దిస్ ఫీచర్. సో ఐ విల్ చూస్ ఇండివిజువల్ ఫైల్స్ అండ్ ఫోల్డర్స్. నెక్స్ట్, now it is showing as C drive because whatever the backup we have taken is from C drive. And ఇక్కడ 2 backups ఉన్నాయని చూపిస్తుంది అనమాట. Where you can see in the calendar, it is showing as like all these numbers are showing in bold, which means there are 2 backups. If there are more uh, letters or numbers here in bold, then you can consider that those many recovery points are available. If not here, you can also see here time 26th రోజు ఒక బ్యాకప్ ఉంది, and 25th రోజు ఒక బ్యాకప్ ఉంది అంతే. In case if you have got more backups within a single day, all those will be visible here. Okay, for now, if you choose the date wise, you have got only one backup on every day, and which backup that you want to restore. Very old backup restore చేయాలనా లేకపోతే recent backup restore చేయాలనా? It is up to you. So most of the cases it will be very latest backup until unless there is a exclusive requirement. Okay, so I'm choosing this 26th July backup, which is the latest one. And mount అంటే ఏంటి? So a drive will be mapped to this PC. As and when I click on this, a new partition will be shown here in my system where you can open that and copy the data that you want to restore from backup. So click on mount. It will take a few seconds to few minutes, and then we will be able to see that mount point. And also you can see in the back end there is a recovery job which is running. Okay, we call these are backup jobs, and we have also got recovery jobs. అంటే ఏంటి? So whenever the task is completed, it is considered as job completed. Okay, so let's see. And also I will open this. Yeah, you can see that there is a new drive which is getting created. Yeah, now it is available. So even the, yeah, here it is. Now click on browse or open the recovery volume from Explorer to browse and copy items. Okay, so D drive కింద క్రియేట్ అని ఇక్కడ చూపిస్తుంది. ఇక్కడ బ్రౌజ్ అయినా కొట్టండి, లేకపోతే డైరెక్ట్ గా ఇక్కడ ఎక్స్ప్లోరర్కి వెళ్ళి ఓపెన్ చేయండి. You will have your data అని చెప్పి చెప్తుంది అనమాట. So once you copy your data, let's say if you remember this path, we have enabled backup on this path only, and only for this 3 files, 1 2 3, because we did not select entire downloads folder. So we can see that the data is here. I can copy this and I can restore it to the system wherever I want, because I lost existing files. And then you can come back to this backup console and unmount. Unmount అంటే ఏంటి? You are done with your restoration or recovery and you are breaking this mount point, which means whatever the drive that has been created temporarily, that will be deleted. Okay, so D drive అని వచ్చింది కదా ఒకటి కొత్తగా because of restoration, and this will be deleted. Sorry, it is not showing, it is showing. Okay, let me delete. There are some existing drives which are causing this issue. That's fine. Okay, this is hanged, so let it go. Now let's assume that we have copied all the data, and I'm going for this unmount. In case if you are not able to unmount, by default it is showing the time is till 27th July 2:15. This mount point will be available. Then after you can extend the time for maximum 7 days. అంటే ఏంటి? ఏదైతే టెంపరీ డ్రైవ్ ఇక్కడ క్రియేట్ అయిందో ఆ డ్రైవ్ టెంపరీగా 7 days వరకు maximum పెట్టుకోవచ్చు. Okay, let me try to disconnect this one because these are okay. Again it is hanged. That's fine, I'll take it later. So I'm unmounting this one and it is asking for confirmation. Are you sure you want to unmount? Yes. So నేను unmount చేయగానే here it should show that recovery job completed అని చూపించాలి. Now let me refresh. So in order to refresh, yeah, it is refreshed now. Okay, recovery job is also completed, and you can see that loss recovery is successful. 26 July 2022 and the timestamp. Okay, so how many ever times that you take backup and how many ever times that you do recovery, everything will be recorded here in this Mars agent software. And not only in this Mars, it will also be there in backup jobs. Okay, so that will take some time to reflect in this console. If you miss something here in the console from the Mars agent, you can verify from this backup jobs under recovery services vault, right? So that's about this Mars agent. This is very simple software that you can enable files and folder level backup using this agent. So I'll pause here and let me know if you have got any questions. Right, if no questions, then we'll move on to the next topic within the backup. Now we know how to create or how to enable files and folder level backup. And the next step that we do here is we will see a VM level backup and then disk level backup. So I'm going to add, let me see, let me see if I've got any virtual machines here. No, there are no virtual machines. So I'm trying to validate the location here so that I can plan for my uh, solution. So ఇది EastUS లో చేశాను, and this is demo recovery vault resource group. Now I'm going to create virtual machines very quickly, and we know how to create virtual machine. I'm creating new resource group. Let's say backup demo. Let's make it as like virtual machine name. It is, let's say, VM1, and then EastUS. I'm not going for any of this availability zone or anything. Let's go with standard one. And this is the OS that I'm going to use. I'm giving the username and password as well. And let's not allow 3389 for now. Next, disks, networking. So I'm going with default subnet and VNet because we are not working on the port numbers or anything like that. So just this is for backup only. So next, advanced and review create. Validation passed and create. So once we're done with this VM deployment, then we will see how to enable backup for this virtual machines. So this is a very simple process. You no need to install any software on the machine until unless it is a files and folder level backup. So otherwise for full VM backup, you no need to install any agent. Okay, so let this deploy, and meanwhile let me come back to the recovery services fault. So how to enable VM level backup? So you have to come back to this getting started page, backup, And where is your workload running? Yes, it is in Azure itself. So here it is showing Azure Stack Hub, Azure Stack HCI. అంటే ఏంటంటే, so there are solutions which is similar to Azure flavor or Azure settings, which you can deploy in your on-premises data centers. So which means you can have a cloud flavor in on-premises using Azure Stack and Azure HCI. So which is like more, some of the customers are asking for this kind of setups. So they have got all this from on-premises, and from there they are taking backup. That is also there. But for now, we can work only on on-premises and Azure. So let's go back with this Azure. And what do you want to backup? I want to take a virtual machine backup, which means here you have got Azure File Share, SQL Server, SAP HANA. So there are different, let's say, if you remember Azure File Share within storage account, that file share will also be there under this recovery services vault if you want to take a backup. SQL Server తీసుకోవచ్చు, SAP తీసుకోవచ్చు. Exclusively database backups, data level backup without installing any additional agent. For now, we are focusing on VM level backup. Click on backup. So it will display the policy type, which is once a day backup. I mean, this is the default policy which you can configure. If not, you can go for new policy. Let me show that. And before I go there, yeah, no. Let me refresh this page because I don't want to repeat it again. Backup and then backup. I'm just verifying whether the virtual machines are visible or not. Yeah, I can see that now. Okay, so let me tell you again. So I've selected here backup and then Azure and then virtual machine. Click on backup. Now you have got a backup policy, which means you have to define the time frame, the number of days that you want to keep it on your recovery services vault. Okay, so you can see these are policy subtypes which has been defined by Microsoft itself. 1 to 5 days, once a day backup, something like this. So we don't want to use this one. I'm going to create a new policy here. Otherwise, you will have only default policy. So click on create new policy, and here you can give the name of policy. Let's say my backup policy 1, and same schedule, like how many days that you want to retain this backup. Is it for 7 days? Let's say every day at let me make it like 11 p.m. or 11:30 p.m. India time, that this backup has to be enabled. Where is that? Plus 5:30. Yeah, this one. And instant restore. How many days that you want to restore? So I want it for 7 days again. Okay. This is instant, this which is fine. I'll tell you this instant restore option later. అంటే ఏంటంటే, let's say you have maximum 30 days. 30 days backup తీసుకుంటున్నావు, or let's say 7 days backup. 7 days backup లో -2 అంటే ఈ 2 days ఏమవుతుందంటే ఇన్స్టెంట్ రికవరీ చేయడానికి కావాల్సిన సెట్టింగ్స్ అని ఎనేబుల్ చేస్తుంది అనమాట. సో మాక్సిమం యూ కెన్ ఎనేబుల్ హియర్ ఇస్ 5 days. అంటే యూ కెన్ రిస్టోర్ డేటా ఇన్స్టెంట్లీ without any much configuration issues. సో అట్లాంటి ఇన్స్టెంట్ రికవరీ స్నాప్షాట్స్ ఎన్ని పెట్టుకోవచ్చు? మాక్సిమం 5 పెట్టుకోవచ్చు అనమాట. ఒక విర్చువల్ మెషిన్ కి యూ కెన్ హ్యావ్ 5 instant recovery snapshots. So you can see the definition here by just placing cursor here. So retain snapshots along with the disk for faster restoration. Instant అంటే ఏంటి? Immediate గా రీస్టోర్ చేయడానికి at any point of time Microsoft is maintaining the snapshots of your virtual machine where you can restore within minutes. And the maximum instant recovery snapshot that you can make it is 5 days. And ఇది ఇన్స్టెంట్ మాత్రమే. అండ్ నార్మల్ రిటెన్షన్ ఇట్ విల్ బి దేర్ ఫర్ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ డేస్ దట్ యూ కీప్. సో లెట్స్ సే ఇఫ్ ఐ కీప్ 30 days అండ్ హియర్ ఇఫ్ ఐ మేక్ ఇట్ 5 days, 5 ఇన్స్టెంట్ రికవరీ పాయింట్స్ ఉంటాయి అండ్ మిగతా 25 days నార్మల్ బ్యాకప్ ఉంటుంది అనమాట. నార్మల్ బ్యాకప్ అంటే ఏంటి? అగైన్ సేమ్ డేటా, ఇన్స్టెంట్ రికవరీ అన్న సేమ్ డేటా, బట్ ద కాన్ఫిగరేషన్ దట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ స్టోరింగ్ ఇన్ ద బ్యాక్ ఎండ్ ఈస్ డిఫరెంట్. Okay, so that's the only difference, otherwise everything is same. Because in emergency situations, uh, it may be needed to restore the data immediately, restore the virtual machine immediately. So in that case, this instant recovery points will be useful. Otherwise, if you want to use this kind of normal recovery points, it will take a lot of time to restore. Okay, so now I'm making it like 30 days here just for this lab. Again, we are going to delete, or let's make it as 20 days or 15 days. Just wanted to show something after this. 15 days పెడుతున్నాం. Daily backup. So daily అవసరం లేదు నాకు అంటే కనుక then I'm going for a weekly backup as we have seen yesterday. You can choose, let's say every week on Friday, end of the day, I want to make it like a backup, and that should be there for 12 weeks. ఇది చేసుకోవచ్చు. And every Saturday, I can go for like this 12 weeks. And same like monthly backups, you can go for uh, every last day of the month I need to have backup, and I should store that backup for 60 months, which is like 5 years almost. Okay, you can plan something like this. So now I'm not going for all of this monthly, yearly, which is very easy for you to configure. Okay, so there is a new feature which is coming up, and which is what I was telling, the tier mode. అంటే ఏంటి? ఆటోమేటిక్ గా అది కొన్ని పాలసీస్ డిఫైన్ చేస్తుంది నువ్వు యూజ్ చేసేదాన్ని బట్టి. Okay, but for now we are not working on preview. Right, I've selected policy, selected the schedule, and then the timestamp where I need to have a backup, and then we've got time zone. So I'm clicking on OK. Right, so policy has been created, and you can see there in the brackets it is showing as new. New and create చేయగానే here it is showing the information: backup frequency daily at 11:30 p.m., instant restoration points for 5 days, and then overall backup is for 15 days. Okay, now you have to choose the virtual machines from the list of virtual machines that you have to enable backup. So if you remember, నేను ఈ VM క్రియేట్ చేసేటప్పుడు లొకేషన్ చెక్ చేశా. ఏ లొకేషన్ రికవరీ సర్వీసెస్ వాల్ట్ ఏ లొకేషన్ లో అయితే క్రియేట్ చేసామో VM కూడా అక్కడే క్రియేట్ చేశా. అంటే ఏంటి? బట్ ద రిసోర్స్ గ్రూప్ ఈస్ డిఫరెంట్, which means you can enable VM level backups for the virtual machines, and if you consider recovery services vault, both of them should be in the same location. లేదు VM2 ఇంకొక లొకేషన్ లో ఉంది, లెట్స్ సే సౌత్ ఇండియాలో ఉంది, అండ్ మన దగ్గర ఉన్న రికవరీ సర్వీసెస్ వాల్ట్ ఈస్ట్ యుఎస్ లో ఉంది. సౌత్ ఇండియా నుండి ఈస్ట్ యుఎస్ బ్యాకప్ తీయాలంటే it is not possible. It should be on the same region, whatever that you want to take a backup, virtual machines or recovery services vault. But it is not a matter for files and folder level backup. ఇందాక మనం మార్స్ ఏజెంట్ సాఫ్ట్వేర్ యూస్ చేసాం కదా, దానికైతే ఈ రూల్ అప్లికబుల్ కాదనమాట. ఎందుకంటే that is files and folder level and it is passing through the internet, and this Azure virtual machines are happening through Azure backbone network. Okay, so using that backbone network, it has to enable backup. So for that reason, you should match the VM location with the recovery services vault. లేదు నాకు VM2 వేరే లొకేషన్ లో ఉంది, ఇదే vault చేయాలంటే కుదరదు. You have to create one more vault to take a backup for another virtual machine with the location that has to be matched for both the VMs and resource groups. Otherwise, it is not possible. Okay, now let's go with this. I'm choosing VM1. If you have hundreds of virtual machines in this list, you have to choose the right virtual machine what you're planning for backup. Okay, general ga manaku chala untayi anamata, so you have to plan accordingly. Click on OK, and here you have an option. Let's say in your virtual machine, if you have added or if you have attached more and more disks, additional disks apart from OS disk. Okay, and we know how to add the disks. So our disk lu kuda backup tiyali along with this VM anukunte, then you don't uncheck. ఈ బాక్స్ అన్చెక్ చేస్తే ఏమవుతుంది తెలుసా, ఓన్లీ ఓఎస్ డిస్క్ మాత్రమే బ్యాకప్ తీసుకుంటుంది, మిగతాదంతా బ్యాకప్ తీసుకోదు అనమాట, మిగతా డిస్కులు తీసుకోదు. ఓఎస్ డిస్క్ అంటే ఏంటి, VM1 కి డిఫాల్ట్ గా అటాచ్ ఉంటుంది కదా, సో డిఫాల్ట్ గా C డ్రైవ్ అనేది బ్యాకప్ తీసుకునేసి and where you can use it for restoration as well. లేదు, if you leave it like this, it will be considering a full VM backup including additional disks that they have got. Okay, so I'm leaving it like this and go for this enable backup. So deployment is getting initialized and then it is in progress now. Right, so let it deploy and we will see more options. Right, so now you can see our deployment is succeeded. Okay, so which means we have enabled backup for a virtual machine. Now let's go back to home page, and where do you want to see that? Click on this demo recovery vault, and getting started means for the first time if you're enabling backup, you have to click this feature, and already చేసిన వాడు చూడాలంటే you have to select this backup items. Okay, so when you choose this backup items, it is already showing that there is one virtual machine under this backup count, because we have enabled only for one virtual machine. If you have enabled 10 virtual machines, it would have shown number 10 here. Okay, So click on this and you can see that VM1 is visible. If you have more and more VMs, you would have seen that one as well. So backup pre-checks are passed. Last backup status, it is showing as warning because ఒకసారి కూడా బ్యాకప్ తీయలేదు కదా మనం ఇంకా, ఎందుకంటే నైట్ 11:30 PM షెడ్యూల్ చేసాం అనమాట. ఇనిషియల్ బ్యాకప్ పెండింగ్. సో ఇది అజ్యూర్ వర్చువల్ మెషిన్ బ్యాకప్ తీసేటప్పుడు నీ ల్యాప్టాప్ ఆన్లో ఉన్నా ఆన్లో లేకపోయినా జరిగిపోతుంది అనమాట. ఎందుకంటే బోత్ దిస్ విఎం అండ్ బ్యాకప్ వాల్ట్ ఈజ్ ఇన్ అజ్యూర్ ఇట్ సెల్ఫ్. అదే ఫైల్స్ అండ్ ఫోటో లెవెల్ అయితే నువ్వు ఏదైతే మెషిన్లో ఇన్స్టాల్ చేస్తావో మార్చ్ ఏజెంట్, ఆ మెషిన్ రన్నింగ్లో ఉండాలి. బట్ హియర్ ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ ద కేస్. You can shut down your laptop. Even you can shut down your virtual machine, still backup will continue because it is a overall a VM level backup. Right now, same feature నేను virtual machines చెప్పేటప్పుడు skip చేశాను because that was not the time to cover this point. So if you click on this VM1 or any other virtual machine that you have, go to settings. Just give me a second, I'm getting a call. All right. So, what was that we were discussing? Okay. So here, from VM1 settings, and if you scroll down, there is an option under operations. You have a feature called backup. So we have skipped this feature because at that time we did not discuss about recovery services vault. Now you know about recovery services vault. Whatever we have done backup using this recovery services vault, ఇక్కడికి వచ్చేసాం కదా. ఈ సెట్టింగ్స్ ఇంతవరకు రాకుండా you can go back directly to this VM1 and here you have a feature called backup. ఇక్కడ చూస్ చేసుకోవచ్చు అనమాట. ఆప్షన్స్ వస్తాయన్నమాట ఇక్కడ. సో ఆల్రెడీ నేను అక్కడ చేశాను కాబట్టి ఇక్కడైనా చేయొచ్చు, అక్కడైనా చేయొచ్చు. అక్కడ చేశాను కాబట్టి ఇక్కడ నీకు కనిపించట్లేదు. ఓన్లీ థింగ్ దట్ యు ఆర్ గెటింగ్ ఇస్, see here, to which recovery services vault this VM is associated. Okay, and to which backup policy this VM is associated. So in enterprise, you will have more policies. You will not have one single policy because it will change based on the application. అంతే కదా. uh, Within individuals, each and every person has got different policies. They follow certain rules and I follow certain rules, and everyone has got own rules. Likewise, in technology world, you have got various applications. You might be configuring different policies to retain the data using different policies. Okay, so if you want to go through this recovery service vault, you will be finding all that policies under this section. So my backup policy is the policy which we have created. If you want to modify this policy, click on this and then you have an option to modify the time and then to change the retention policy as well. So along with this is the new policy which we have created. If you look at, there are another 3 policies. So those 3 policies are created by Microsoft when you have deployed this recovery services vault. Use చేస్తే చేయొచ్చు, లేకపోతే లేదు. So you have an option to delete those policies and I am deleting that. వాళ్ళు ఏదో కొన్ని డిఫాల్ట్గా ఇచ్చింటారు అనమాట. చూద్దాం అదేముంది అక్కడ. టైం స్టాంప్ అవన్నీ కూడా వాళ్ళకి నచ్చినట్టు వాళ్ళు ఇచ్చింటారు. సో ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ టు యూజ్ దట్ ప్రీ డిఫైన్డ్ టైం స్టాంప్, యూ కెన్ గో ఫర్ ఇట్. సి హియర్, అవర్లీ 8 AM అంట, ఎవ్రీ 4 hours బ్యాకప్ తీసుకోవాలంట. సో లైక్ దే ఆర్ మెయింటైనింగ్ 30 days. సో యూ కెన్ హ్యావ్ ఆల్ దిస్ but I don't want all this default policies. I want my custom policy, which is based on the business need. Okay, so you can go for deletion of all the policies and you can stay with your own policy, right? So I've got only one policy now. Coming back to backup items, let's say our schedule is at 11:30 p.m. as per this lab, but I want to take a backup now immediately. Click on this or view details and you will be getting this console. Same console, VM ప్రాపర్టీస్కి వెళ్ళి అక్కడ బ్యాకప్ సెక్షన్ కొట్టంగానే అక్కడ కనిపిస్తుంది అనమాట. అట్లా లేకుండా నేనేం చేశాను, రికవరీ సర్వీసెస్ వాల్ట్లో ఇక్కడికి వచ్చి వ్యూ డీటెయిల్స్ అని క్లిక్ చేశాను. Now you can see that backup now, stop backup, delete backup data, restore to secondary region, everything will be there. So at the moment there are no restore points because ఒకసారి కూడా బ్యాకప్ తెలియదు కాబట్టి రీస్టోర్ చేయడానికి ఏమి ఉండదు మన దగ్గర. So let me initiate backup now. This will take uh, 1 hour to 2 hours or maybe even less because it is not a simple files and folder backup. It is a full VM backup. Without attaching the disks itself, the C drive will have 128 GB of disk. So considering all that space, it will take a lot of time, whether it is a manual backup or automated schedule, it will take time. And once we are done with that backup, then we will have more options to discuss. Okay, so inka app consistent to crash consistent ఇవన్నీ ఉన్నాయి. We will see more options once that backup is successful. It is not in today's session, maybe tomorrow we will discuss about it. Okay, so for now I'll close this one and lost backup status is still pending and backup has been triggered. So if you want to see the job, come back to this backup jobs. First ఏంటి, configuration of backup is completed. ఇప్పుడు 8:39 is the timestamp that it has fetched. If I refresh, it will show the current status of the backup as well. So though it is showing some time, it is taking some time to show here, which is fine. That's about this VM backup. So backup అయిన తర్వాత ఇంకా చాలా సెట్టింగ్స్ ఉన్నాయి, అవి డిస్కస్ చేద్దాం. Now I will tell one small point here and then we will close for the day. So monitoring లో as usual మీకు బ్యాకప్ సక్సెస్ఫుల్ అయిందా లేదా, లేకపోతే ఎర్రర్ వచ్చిందా, లేదా ఎనీ అదర్ మెసేజ్ దట్ యూ హ్యావ్ గాట్. So all that can be configured using this alerting system. Okay, so using these alerts you can enable uh, as usual, which we have seen as part of our earlier sessions. ఎక్స్క్లూజివ్గా బ్యాకప్ జాబ్స్కి మాత్రమే అలర్ట్స్ కావాలి అంటే you have got option called backup alerts. Here it is. And when you come back to this section, it is clearly showing that a warning. So you are currently viewing alerts based on classic alerts. అంటే ఏంటి, ఇది old model అన్నమాట. So now what they have done is they have included everything here in this normal alerts, which is the advanced version. You can define alert rules and then conditions here, metrics, and then go for, see here, even if someone is trying to create a vault, you can get a backup. I mean, you can get that alert as well. Everything will be visible here. So try to explore this alert section on your own, as we know how to add the conditions. I'm not enabling any of the sections here. Okay, so metrics is common, we have discussed already. because these are the common options which you can see in almost all the services. Diagnostic settings and log analytics workspace ఇంకా discuss చేయలేదు, then we will see at next level. Backup alerts, backup jobs, so all this will be there when you have your enterprise business needs. Okay, so you also have site recovery jobs. For now you can ignore. ఇదేంటంటే ప్రైమరీ టు సెకండరీ రీజియన్స్ కి డిజాస్టర్ రికవరీ ఎనేబుల్ చేసినప్పుడు యూజ్ అవుతుంది అనమాట ఇది. We will see DR as well. Okay, there is an option called site recovery. Okay, so that is how you can manage the backup, and we know how to create files and folder level backup, and we know how to create virtual machine level backup, a full VM backup. So రేపు అది అయిన తర్వాత we'll be discussing డిస్క్ లెవెల్ బ్యాకప్. నాకు విఎం అవసరం లేదు, ఎక్స్క్లూజివ్గా విఎంతో సంబంధం లేకుండా నాకు డిస్క్ బ్యాకప్ కావాలి. ఓకే, సో వీ ఆల్సో హ్యావ్ దట్ ఫీచర్ and we will see that in next session. And you can see here in this backup jobs, it is showing backup in progress, and type of backup is virtual machine, and the start time is 8:48 p.m. So for now it has taken 4.5 minutes with all the configurations, and we can see tomorrow that how much duration that it has taken to complete this backup. Okay, so any questions here before we close for the day? Okay, so please take time to practice and come back with more questions. That's fine. So we'll talk to you tomorrow then.